If you are fascinated by nature and want to bring a piece of it into your home, you came to the right place. In today's video, I'll show you how I built a paludarium, which is essentially a miniature rainforest ecosystem enclosed in a tank. First, I needed a safe and accessible location for the pump, away from any future inhabitants, but easy to reach for maintenance. I also cut 2 holes at the base of the pump's location, which I covered with some window mesh so that the water could freely pass through. I achieved this by simply gluing together a couple of plastic sheets using 100% silicone, which is non-toxic for plants and animals once it's cured. After cleaning the tank with rubbing alcohol, I arranged various pieces of driftwood, experimenting with different layouts. Once I found a pleasing arrangement, I removed the wood and glued it back in place one piece at a time using expanding foam. The background is essential to give animals climbing spaces and heights, and to give plants more surfaces to grow onto. I used the same technique to conceal the pump's location as well. Once the foam cured for about 24 hours, I carved it with a box cutter. This crucial step allowed me to create a more natural looking landscape and eliminate any smooth surfaces that would hinder the next step. Thankfully, I wasn't alone with that. I then covered all the exposed expanding foam with a combination of 100% silicone and dry coconut fiber. It's essential to use dry substrate for proper adhesion to the silicone. For a more discreet look in case some substrate falls off, I used black silicone. Ideally, I would have used black expanding foam, but it wasn't available at the time. To prevent the rocks used for the escape from damaging the bottom glass, I used a material commonly called egg crate light diffuser. After experimenting with different configurations, I glued the rocks together with aquarium-safe epoxy. I used some filter sponge to cover the pump's water intake and fill the gaps between the rocks. Next, I fill the false bottom with leca, which is gonna function as a filtering media and as a surface for beneficial bacteria to grow onto.
Ma scricchiolano questi sassi?
Questo finirà nel video.
Then, I position the pump and meticulously plan the water flow direction. The leca layer was covered with aqua soil, a substrate suitable for submerged environments. To prevent the aqua soil from mixing with the upper substrate layer, I used the window screen as a barrier. Finally, it was time for my custom substrate mix. I usually eyeball the proportion based on my project's needs, but this mix typically includes sphagnum moss, orchid bark, sand, and a small amount of dirt. It's crucial for the substrate to retain moisture without becoming waterlogged. And now came the exciting part, planting of course. I incorporated a variety of plants, including bromeliads, neorogelias, cryptanthus, and even some epiphytes, which I wedged between the logs with sphagnum moss to aid moisture retention. After adding java and fir moss, I included some leaf litter to provide hiding spots and food for the cleanup crew. Finally, I added aquatic and floating plants in the water section. To kickstart the decomposition process and maintain a clean ecosystem, I introduced 2 species of springtails and 3 species of isopods. These little cleanup crew members will feast on any decaying organic matter, turning it into organic compounds that the plants will use to thrive. This is just the beginning of a long and exciting journey, as this was my first attempt at such a large-scale project. I certainly made some mistakes, however, I'm thrilled to share my progress in future videos. Stay tuned to discover the fascinating animals that will call this ecosystem home, and witness how the tank transforms over time as nature unfolds itself.